What's up, beautiful people? Today we're going to be checking out a speech by Vivek Ramaswamy, and he's going to be saying something that might be very controversial to a lot of people. So he's predicting, according to what I see in the title, that Joe Biden is not going to be the nominee for the Democrats Party. That's the prediction. And we've heard speculations of this already, that the nominee is going to be Michelle Obama. I don't know if this is true, but let's hear his reasons and maybe we might understand the context.
Great to see you guys. How about Javier Milei? Afuera. We need to bring some of that to the United States of America.
Aquila. Yeah, he was like Ministry of Gender Aquila.
Great to see you guys. How about Javier Milei? Afuera. We need to bring some of that to the United States of America.
Bring it everywhere. Bring it to
I was
Nigeria.
coming out here, we're talking backstage. I said, make some news. Say something that's actually announced something today. So I was thinking about what I wanted to say. And I said this last night at the Reagan dinner. We are in the middle of a war in this country. It's not a war between black and white, as the media would have you believe. It's not even a war between Democrat or Republican or man or woman or whatever. It is a war between those of us who love the United States of America and our founding ideals, and a fringe minority who hates this country and what we actually stand for. And right now, more than ever, we need a commander-in-chief who is going to lead us to victory in that war. And that man is Donald J. Trump, the next 47th president of the United States of America. And I say this as somebody who ran against him in the primary. It is now time to make sure we elect that commander-in-chief. And so my announcement today, and I think every Republican candidate, honestly, at the national level should follow, is that, look, for any super PAC or C4 or whatever entity that supported me during that campaign, I'm publicly calling on them to use their resources to support Donald J. Trump in his reelection effort. And I want every other Republican candidate who ran for president to do the same thing. Because we are not working with a lot of time here. If my kids are in high school before we get this right, I don't think we have a country left. That's not exaggeration. Last night I gave a speech about the Founding Fathers, and this morning, I'm with my son, and we were supposed to go to a dinosaur museum this morning. We had the tickets purchased and everything. I talked about the Founding Fathers last night, though, and we scrapped that plan. We're in Washington, D.C. I took him to see the monuments. We went to the Washington Monument. We went to the Jefferson Memorial. And the thing we teach him about Thomas Jefferson isn't that, this man was a slaveholder or whatever it is the left wants us to say as the actual slaves to this new psychology, but to say that this was the man who said that all men are created equal, endowed by their creator with certain inalienable rights, among these life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's what we need to teach that next generation. You see, our America First movement, we love the man who revived it in 2016, but it didn't start in 2016.
So I was seeing a video by, I forgot the name, but he was speaking on why progressives hate progress. Something Pinker was the name. And then he showed a stat that from 1820 to 2020, the world has been progressing. But the media, I'm going to relate it to the speech, but the media has been showing that the world is declining. So he showed the tone the media uses. I think in that context, he used New York Post as the narrative. So even though the world seems to have been progressing, like in the 1820s, it was 90% poverty. In 2020, it's 10% poverty in the world. But the media now makes everything look worse. Relating that to this speech, you can almost tell that the media is looking for the negatives to exaggerate so it can be newsworthy. So if you noted, he said that this man was a slave owner, but he also said all men are equal. I mean, if you want to share in all fairness, you say everything he has said. You don't just say he was a slave owner and leave out one part.
It started in 1776. And if our founding fathers were alive today, what would they say to us? That you have another 250 years and then some still left. But you're going to have to step up and seize it for yourself. You don't get it automatically. You don't get to just inherit the blessings of liberty. You have to fight for it. Every generation has learned that time and again. This is our 1776 moment right now. This is our moment. Step up and seize it. We use words like America first. And I'm an America first conservative. I know many of you are too. But what does it mean to put America first? It means two things, two basic things. One is that we, the people, create a government that is accountable to us, not the other way around. That the people who we elect to run the government ought to be the ones who actually run the government. Not the shadow government in the deep state that's pulling the strings today. So if there's one thing that Donald Trump, I have full confidence, is going to get done as the next U.S. president, it will be to finally tame that bureaucracy, shut down that deep state. That is what draining the swamp is all about. Here's how we're going to do it. Get in there and fire 75% of federal bureaucrats. Actually shut down government agents.
Pay attention to his speech. He just gave up that he's going to be the vice president. Did you hear? Here is how we're going to do it. Which means he's going to be the vice president.
That deep state. That is what draining the swamp is all about. Here's how we're going to do it. Get in there and fire 75% of federal bureaucrats. Actually shut down government agencies that should no longer exist. Fire people who have done a bad job in their positions. 8-year term limits for the bureaucrats who were never elected to their positions in the first place. This is how you finally drain the swamp. And that's the first one. The people we elect to run the government should run the government. And the second one is this. The moral duty of our leaders, the first and only moral duty of our leaders, is to the citizens of this nation, not any other one. The citizens of the United States of America. And I say this as the kid of legal immigrants to this country. That means your first act of entering this country cannot break the law. And that is why we need to use our own military to secure our own southern border and our northern border, too. That's what it means to stand for the rule of law. It means we complete that wall. It means we stop funding Central America until they've stopped the flow of migrants. Stop funding federal sanctuary cities. Actually end birthright citizenship for the kids of illegal migrants because it does not apply to them under the Constitution. And you know what? If we've had
He got a lot of criticism for that. Yeah, because you know when you give birth in America, you get your citizen automatically. He's saying if you're an illegal immigrant and you give birth in America, your kid is not a citizen of America. He got a lot of criticism, but let me know what you think of that. He defended himself by saying he's not part of the law. He might be right. Yeah, Americans, you talk to us.
Stop funding federal sanctuary cities. Actually end birthright citizenship for the kids of illegal migrants because it does not apply to them under the Constitution. And you know what? If we've had the largest influx of migrants into our country in American history, then yes, it is time to have the largest mass deportation in American history as well.
10 million.
That's not
as of today.
racist. That's not xenophobic. Look at me, people. That's what it means to stand for the rule of law in the United States of America. That's not too much to ask. The people we elect to run the government should run the government. And the moral duty they owe is to the citizens of this nation, not any other one. And the fact that's become controversial tells you all you need to know about where we are as a country. We are lost. I'm the youngest person ever to run for U.S. president in our party. And I can tell you about our generation. Love the young people over here. I heard you cheering earlier for President Trump as well. You guys are going to make the difference this year, believe me. The guys here know what they're talking about. The guys who are their age group around this country, they're lost. Hungry for direction, for purpose, for meaning in this country. At a moment in our national history when the things that used to fill that void, faith in God, patriotism, hard work, family, these things have disappeared. And when you have a moral vacuum that runs that deep, that's when the poison fills the void. And we sometimes obsess over the poison too much, right? One at a time. Wokeism, transgenderism, climatism, COVIDism, globalism, Zelenskyism. The list goes on, all right? But the question is, how do we actually defeat it? And these are symptoms of that deeper void. And I think now's our moment as a movement to now grow up, because we got a trick hiding in plain sight. I'll tell you what the trick is. See, we spend a lot of our time, I do this on TV too, I do this in the campaign, so I make the same mistake, criticizing Joe Biden and the radical agenda. I want you to mark my words today. They are leading us into a trap because Joe Biden is not going to be the nominee. That's the hard truth. So part of me, I want to come here and hit Biden in the next 10 minutes before we wrap this up, and that's easy to do. In some ways, that's what they want us to do, because that's money spent. That is airtime spent, political capital with our electorate going after one man, which as late into this cycle, once the trials start, once the lawfare continues, and it's disgusting what we're seeing in this country, the weaponization of a justice system against one man that is decided by hell or high water. They have to stop him from re-entering the White House. It's a disgusting system, but they're delaying that right in the spring, maybe even the early summer, to then move the old man Biden out of the way and prop up a new puppet who they can control.
So who's going to be the nominee? Gavin Newsom? I don't think Gavin Newsom has a lot of popularity to go against Donald Trump. They're going to have to bring a very strong candidate. It can be Kamala Harris as well. Michelle Obama might make sense because a lot of people like her, I think. I don't know. But who? I can't think of somebody. Who's a strong contender from the Democrat Party?
You got to skate to where the puck is going. So who's it going to be, people ask? Is it going to be Gavin Newsom? Who cares? Michelle Obama. That solves their Kamala Harris problem, doesn't it? This is the trap we can't fall into, and here's how we beat that. This isn't about who we're running against. It's about what we actually stand for. That's what we need to step up and revive as a conservative movement. We are not just running from something anymore. We are running back to something, to our vision of what it means to be an American in the year 2024. And to me, it means we believe in the ideals of 1776. Ideals like merit and the pursuit of excellence, that you get ahead in this country, not on the color of your skin, but on the content of your character and your contributions. That's why we're going to end the DEI agenda, affirmative action, group quotas. That's what we need to do in every area of our life. It's killed our national soul, and we got to be done with it. It means we stand for that rule of law. We build that wall. We secure that military on our southern border, that we drain the swamp, kill that fourth branch of government, put it back where it came from. Basic ideals that unite all of us. And these aren't black ideas or white ideas. These aren't even Democrat ideas or Republican ideas. I can tell you, I traveled to the south side of Chicago during my campaign. I went to Kensington in the inner city of Philadelphia. My campaign advisors tell me, you're wasting your time and money. Why are you doing this? And given that I got all of 8% of the Iowa caucus, they were probably right. But I'll tell you what I learned, because I think it's going to help us at the general election, is that forget the old language of the Republican Party. The principles I'm talking about right here of putting our own national interests first, to say that America first includes every American, black or white, man or woman, south side of Chicago to California. That's a message that I think will deliver us a landslide of what Reagan delivered in 1980. That's what we could do again this year in 2024 if we make this about what we are running for, not about Joe Biden or whichever other puppet that we're running against. I'll tell you something. Thank you. I know most of you in this room probably agree with me that we should not be forking over $200 billion of our own taxpayer money so some Ukrainian kleptocrat can buy a bigger house, which is exactly what we're doing. That we should be using our own military to protect our own southern border rather than to actually fork it over to protect somebody else's border halfway.
On the contrary, there was an information revealed by Lavrov, the foreign minister of Russia. Some of you, if you've been on the channel for a bit, you've heard me say it already. But he stated that there's a claim that America is sending this money to Ukraine, but they're not really. They are putting this money in their own weapon production companies, which in turn is favoring American economy because they put this money to produce the weapons. And what they send to Ukraine is the older weapons they had in the first place. So they're not really sending newer weapons, even though they are giving this money, at least claiming to give this money to Ukraine, that the money stays in America. He said 90% of the money stays in America. Let me know what you think of that.
way around the world. But I'll tell you something that I learned in this campaign is, I know you guys, some of you applauded for that. Thank you very much. I have not been in a room in this campaign that agreed with me more than a room full of 95% black audience. I was told it's 150% Democrat on the south side of Chicago, who's rightly asking the question, what about me right here? When I go into the south side of Chicago and we see that they're converting a local school, South Shore High School, into an encampment for migrants, spending $7,000 per migrant per month.
$7,000.
People in that community are rightly asking, what the heck about me?
People don't even earn that in a month. People that are working hard, 9 to 5.
So this is our opportunity. Say Republican, the mind closes. Say you're going to put America first. Well, you know what? America first includes all Americans. That's how we're going to win this election in a landslide and deliver that moral mandate of who we are as a people. E pluribus unum means from many, one. You see, that's what we've lost in this country. We've been taught to celebrate our diversity and our differences so much that we forgot all of the ways that we're really the same as Americans. Bound by that common set of ideals that set this country into motion 250 years ago. I believe those ideals still exist. They're not going to for much longer. But I think we're still in that last window. We have a chance to revive those ideals. Without that, think about it. What are we? Bunch of different looking two-legged higher mammals with a bunch of different shades of melanin, walk in some geographic space that we call a country, doing what our iPhones tell us to do on a given day. That's not America. America is a vision of what that place can be. And that's what we've lost in this country, but it's up to us to revive it. You think about that next generation. I love all the young people I see in this audience. You know, I said this at the beginning of the campaign. It was controversial. I'm going to say it again right now. I hope you all agree with me. I think every high school senior who graduates from high school should have to pass the same civics test that every immigrant has to pass in order to become a voting citizen of this country. You got to know something about a country to have pride in that country. You got to have skin in the game to play in the...
That is very vital. And that is what Russians have over a lot of other countries in the world. If you notice during mobilizations, I don't know if you guys have seen the video, Russians are happier to be mobilized, to fight for Russia. They speak, even in the comment section, they're like Mother Russia. That's how they refer to Russia. Because a lot of them, an average Russian, or assume, based on my experience, they know a lot about their country, that they speak with confidence. They know what they're fighting for. You can't fight for a nation where you don't have any ties to, or at least you don't feel you have any ties to. The other time I brought a video where a Russian was interviewed, he was asked about the mobilization. It's like, I'm waiting, they should come take me. And then he was sharing the stories of, and he was in a rural area, not even in an urban area, I don't know his educational level or his education level, but he was excited to talk about Russia and go fight for Russia. So that's one thing Russia has over a lot of countries in the world. They understand this history, they understand this narrative, and they uphold it and are willing to fight for it. But I don't see that when I be watching videos from America. When you check on TikTok and, the videos put by American kids. I'm not American, I don't live out there, but I just don't see the same thing. I don't see the same thing.
The game. That's what our founding fathers understood 250 years ago. That's what we got to revive today. Public service is about serving the public, not about serving yourself. So I need to look the congressman in the eye and tell him, you don't need to be trading individual stocks during your public service time. Ban that for congressmen. End the lobbying. End the corruption. We bring people along left or right. It doesn't matter because it's about what it actually means to be a citizen of this nation. And you want to know how we get this country back? How do we get those ideals back? I'll tell you this is how. The best measure of our country's health. Is it the number of green pieces of paper in our bank account? Is it the number of ballots that get cast every November? These things are important, but it's not the most important thing. The best measure of our country's health is the percentage of people who feel free to say what they actually think in public. Right now, we're doing poorly. The only way we're going to do better is by all of us, not just me, not just Donald Trump, all of us starting to speak the truth in the open again. Say in public what you will say in private at the dinner table. Say it with a spine. Say it with conviction. Say it with respect.
Oh, you'll get canceled.
But part of respect is that you respect your neighbor enough to tell him
The truth.
what you actually think, not some fairy tale made up, woke washed version of it. That's what it actually means to be an American. So it's not going to be some political messiah coming from on high to save us. It's not going to work that way.
Yeah.
If we're going to be saved, it is going to be because we save ourselves.
This is so important. Sorry I keep stopping the video, but this is so important, especially for those living in North America. I live in Canada. As Nigerian, when I came here, I almost was getting in trouble. Not like in physical rough trouble, but the way I was talking felt like people didn't appreciate that level of honesty. Maybe I was being rude. It's possible. I don't know. But I was very outspoken. I had to learn to, when I want to say things, I have to think about it and find a way to restructure in a way that's going to be appealing for the listeners to, to digest. But it shouldn't be so. Like people should be able to learn the truth. Now the kids are being lied to. You see a kid that has a problem. Let's say a kid has a weight problem and you would like to tell the kid, try to check your diet and stuff like that. How would you say that to the kid without the kid and the parents and everybody around thinking you're being rude or being offensive? But this is a real thing. This could be a real problem. It's concerning. People need to, open up more and say the truth more, because we're living in lies. I wasn't raised like that. I remember one time I was playing outside with my friends, walked into the house. My mom was like, "Go shower, you smell like sweat." Yeah, and this is a person that loves me more than anybody else in the world. I remember, and the stories, it goes on and on and on. She doesn't hate me. She's telling me to go shower probably because she wants to give me food or something. It's not discriminatory to be truthful.
Every one of us has to do our part. Look ourselves in the mirror. Ask yourself what you're going to do this year to make a country for our children that's not the same country, but the one greater than the one that we grew up in. That's each of our charge. It's not just Donald Trump's job. It's your job. It's every one of our job to do our part, to stand up and speak the truth. Speak the truth without apology. Speak it with a spine. So we're doing it every step in this movement. It's what's going to get us to the finish line. The truth that God is real, that there are two genders.
The reverse racism is racism.
Fossil fuels are a requirement for human prosperity, so we can drill, frack, burn coal, embrace nuclear energy. That reverse racism is racism. That an open border is not a border.
Right.
That parents determine the education of their children. That the nuclear family isn't a bad word. It's the greatest form of governance known to mankind. That capitalism lifts us up from poverty. That there are 3 branches of government in the United States, not 4. And that the U.S.
It's funny how I know these things. Have I watched this video that much?
Capitalism lifts us up from poverty. That there are 3 branches of government in the United States, not 4. And that the U.S. Constitution is the strongest and greatest guarantor of freedom in human history. That is the truth. We fight for the truth. We stand up for the truth. That is what won us the American Revolution. That is what reunited us after the Civil War. That is what won us 2 world wars and the Cold War. That is what still gives hope to the free world. And if we can revive that dream over group identity and victimhood and grievance, then nobody in the world, not a nation, not a corporation, not a virus, not China, is going to defeat us. That is what American exceptionalism is all about. And that is what we will revive this year to save our great country. Thank you all. God bless you and your families. And may God bless our United States of America. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, that was an incredible speech. It was a pretty long one, and I shared my thoughts in between. Hopefully I didn't stop it so much, but it's a reaction video, and if I feel a certain kind of way, I can't keep it to the end because I might forget the thoughts. So I had to share it, but I think it was pretty interesting. I don't think he said anything I disagree with. And yeah, reverse racism is racism. Thomas Sowell, a quote I just recently saw, and it caught my attention. I like to use it more and more often now. He said, if a group of people or a person is used to preferential treatment, then equal treatment feels like discrimination. And that is what that's like, I don't know, 70% of the problem America is facing now. Because a lot of people are used to preferential treatment, and trying to speak up against that feels like discrimination to them. Illegal immigrants, you can't speak up against that because it's like discrimination. Somebody says my gender is this, affirm it. You speak up against that, feels like discrimination. Some black people feel victimized. You speak up against it, that you can have success in a nation like America. They take it like it's discrimination. So a lot of problems America is facing just boils down in that quote. Feel free to let me know what you think though. Share your thoughts. If there's anything you want to add, correct, or critique, let me know in the comment section. Smash the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.